Okay guys, welcome back. What a weekend of rugby.
What a cracking weekend.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been great.
And firstly, apologies, I haven't got my Lion shirt on. I just forgot it. We're reviewing the England game after this as well, England-Argentina. So I am going to be neutral, of course, no bias. Try not to be.
No, exactly.
Okay, Al, Crusaders game, what did you make of it?
I think it's the first time that we've actually seen that tactical kicking game executed really, really effectively. I thought Farrell, Conor Murray, their kicking game out of hand was superb. I thought they pinned the corners.
And they got better as well. Their kicking got better towards the end. And the Crusaders' fielding of the kicks got worse. Yeah,
it did. I mean, they've got some real live wires in the back three, the Crusaders. And listening to some of the feedback at the end of the game, that the Crusaders haven't lost this year.
I know, so 2017,
for them to have lost, it means the Lions have got to have played really well.
And the Crusaders were gutted. They had a chance and they knew they slipped up. I mean, at the beginning of the game, Crusaders mucked up their 2 kickoffs, which they would never do. No. They mucked up I think the first 2 line-outs almost, they mucked up, so they were on the back foot, behind on the scoreboard, and it just, they tried, they played some good stuff, but they could never get back into it.
I think the Lions, just the defensive pressure that they were putting on, the line speed was superb all game long.
Absolutely.
That was probably, for me, the highlight, along with the Farrell-Murray combination, which they've obviously worked hard in training this week.
Are you saying Murray to start now in your head?
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, again, Reece Webb, incredibly unlucky. But for that tactical kicking game first half, you then bring Webb on second half.
It's the logical thing, isn't it? Webb is quick around the break, I think, or certainly at the moment.
He does the Danny Care role, I think, for England, that you need that added impetus in the second half. Reece Webb's your go-to.
For sure. Yeah, I just want to do a quick piece on defence, actually, Al. Because the Lions' press defence is a classic Andy Farrell defence. A lot of Northern Hemisphere sides do this, but they just did it so well. And I'll put some pictures up to illustrate what I'm saying. First thing, line speed is king, as you say. If you don't have your line speed, then you can't do anything in this defence.
Exactly.
And their line speed was great. You need the numbers, you need to be set, ready to do it. But what they do, which a lot of teams try to do, is they allow a player to be a flyer. So if they see they can make a tackle really behind the game line, they're allowed to come out of the line and go for it. And in the previous 2 games, the Lions were shooting up and they weren't making as many tackles. In this game, they got some of their guys.
No, I agree. I think you were looking at Haskell in the game against the Blues, and he was very much defending kind of inside out. So his everything with his body was facing as if he was going towards touch, which meant anything back on the inside, he's then really struggling to change his body weight. And then there were a number of cases of that. Whereas on Saturday, it was very much up as a flat line.
And square, weren't they?
So they can then shift either way depending on where the runners go.
Farrell missed a few flyers, I think, early in the tournament. And they were getting a few of their guys. Now, the Crusaders were ready for this. They've been training for this for ages. And what they have, I'll show you on the picture here, is sometimes they'll have a get-out clause. So they'll have a flat guy, but then they'll have a deep second wave as well to pull behind to get away from that press.
Exactly. It also means you can transfer the ball quicker, wider, which they would look like they were trying to do, go from one touch to the other touch.
And the Blues had a lot of success in getting outside the Lions' press defence. But what was happening, because the line speed was so good, they were actually getting up to that second wave of attack as well.
Exactly.
And then occasionally they were managing to shut the door and curve around in defence and shut off the outside. And they just couldn't get the ball wide as much as the Blues did.
I think that's been the difference with, the game on Saturday, where it's the back line in general, I think, were a lot quicker in terms of their raw pace. So it allows them to get up that little bit quicker than they necessarily would do with Lee Halfpenny and a couple of others that are a little bit slower in terms of their straight line speed.
And you're talking about that back three. What was so impressive, North didn't have a lot to do ball in hand, but he defended so well.
He was great, wasn't
he? When he had to press and close in that defence, he did that. When he had to stay, when there weren't the numbers and he had to stay and drift and use the touch line, he did that really well. Thinking of one tackle where he smashed someone into touch on a great drift. And they covered each other. So I thought the back three did really well, but mainly from like a positioning sort of standpoint.
I think the one that stood out for me in that back line the 2 really, were Owen Farrell, and I thought Anthony Watson was incredible in the second half.
like I was saying earlier, to you in private, the door is open for Anthony Watson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Eddie Jones will be looking at that performance at fullback and going,
yeah,
ooh, that's interesting, because
yeah,
I thought he was superb. I think there's an area of his game that he can work on, which is that final pass.
Okay.
A couple of times there was one occasion where he made a 40-metre break, and the pass he gave was I think pretty weak. So if there's one area of his game to work on, that's it for me. It's that final pass.
And I've noticed something else as well about Watson is when he gets into heavy traffic, he does tend to turn his back a bit. And as soon as you stop being square, then you don't have the power and the sidestep ability. So there's a couple of things there, but no one really has put their hands up. Certainly at fullback, Bogwood's very unlucky to go off.
Yeah, well, he's a bit of major doubt now, isn't he? Depending on the severity of that cheek injury. But
we don't think Halfpenny's quite up to it in attack.
No, he offers you more stability,
kicking, defence.
Yeah, but he doesn't give you that X factor like an Israel Dag would for the New Zealand side.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing now, Alex, is I think we're seeing the best and the rest almost.
Yeah,
now,
no, I agree.
I was saying that Crusaders, the Lions team for the Crusaders was pretty much close to the Test team, and it proved to be.
Yeah.
And I think there is quite a disconnect between the cream of the crop in the Lions squad and the rest of the solid players.
Yeah.
Comment if you think I'm being harsh, but I generally think there is a really awesome 20-odd players in the Lions squad, and then kind of the rest.
Yeah, which is what kind of links back to what we were saying in the initial video when we were selecting our two squads, is that we picked, between us, very informed squads.
Yeah.
Whereas the actual squad that Gatland went with, he'd picked a lot of players that were out of nick, weren't playing that well, and he's picked them on reputation alone rather than are they playing well at that period of time. Whereas we picked a much more who are the best players, they deserve to go.
And I think he went for a bit of some safer options there. But on Tuesday we'll see some of those players need to prove everyone wrong and say, no, actually they are the cream of the crop as well. So we will see.
I think Sam Warburton's an interesting one.
Very interesting.
I think for me at the moment he's not good enough to make the Test side at the moment.
We haven't seen enough yet, have we?
No, Alan Wynne-Jones, captain in the side, I thought was superb. He's experienced, he's got that leadership, and it allows Sam Warburton to take that overarching kind of tour captain role.
Which is what actually Hugo Monio was saying that on the BBC. He was saying he'd have a tour captain and take the pressure off the captain having to play. And I think that was a good call.
I think so. And Wynne-Jones in the second row with, you've got George Cruz down on your squad, but I think that's a great combination. I think Atoje played really well on Saturday. And is unlucky. And he came up out that line. He made so many good tackles up behind the game. Yeah, but another one like Carl Sinclair coming off the bench, he can fill a multitude of positions, and I think he's a great one. So go on then, now. Let's get the squad. Get the squad up. Yeah. This is the squad I think is in form. The one I'd probably go with at the moment. Obviously, there's plenty of games to go. Front row, I think. Mako has been absolute standout. God, he was so good. Yeah, he's been so good against the Crusaders. Yeah, easy. Yeah. Ken Owens, I think, still has the nod at 2 for me. He does. He played better, I thought, against the Crusaders than when he came on, because he was on the bench, wasn't he? Okay, right. Yeah. I thought he was quite good as an impact. Jamie George didn't do anything wrong. No, he was solid. But again, for that impact, I'd have him on the bench. I think you've got the same down there. Okay, so Owens 2. Yep. I think Furlong still gets a nod for me. Carl Sinclair is kind of playing himself into that impact role, which is a shame for him. Really. Well, I don't know. He's inexperienced. I think maybe starting him's a push as well. So I'll still go Furlong. I think he's class. He had a good game. And it's hard to look past Wynne-Jones and Cruz in the second row because of that Crusaders game at the moment. No, I agree. I think Atoje could fit in. He's the next obvious choice, I think, in the second row for me. Definitely. But Atoje's on the bench. Yeah. Awesome impact. Could easily be starting. Now, 6 and 7 is a bit tricky, actually. I mean, Faletau at 8, happy? Oh, he's been amazing. He has been amazing. I'm going Stander and O'Brien at the moment. I thought O'Brien was excellent against the Crusaders. Yeah, he was. He's good on the floor. When O'Brien's on form, he's one of the best around. He's just been struggling with injury in recent years. Yeah, I think I would go Stander and O'Brien at the moment. Okay. However, I would be tempted to go Tipperick at 7. And have O'Brien at 6 and Stander coming on as an impact. I'd be very happy with another option, really. I like that a lot. Yeah, I thought Warburton's not quite done enough. We haven't seen enough of him. Now, this is Murray at 9. I think we've agreed with that. Webb coming on. Farrell obviously at 10 or 12, whatever. And I was tempted. Have we seen enough of that Sexton,
Farrell 10-12 to say yes, that's what I think it should be. I'm not convinced yet.
Johnny Sexton, I thought, was great when he came on.
Yeah.
And
well, he looked free and he looked less.
I think because
stressed.
they had that interchange of 10 and 12, and they were both picking up, some at 10, some at 12. They were both taking kicking responsibilities.
It was lovely. It was lovely to see. Wasn't it?
I think Johnny Sexton looked like he just relaxed more because the pressure of playing 10 on his own as the only kicking option really just helped him be a lot more free.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a good combination.
So, to you, have you seen enough to say you'd want to start that at the moment?
I don't know. Possibly.
Yes.
I think I have.
Okay.
But I would like to see that combination before the first test.
Absolutely.
As a starting combination.
Against the Maori, but I don't know if they're going to start.
Yeah. Ben Teo, 13. I would play him at the moment.
Well, he's played lots of 13. Maybe he's a 13. But I mean, I've gone Farrell Teo at the moment. Davis question mark 13. So unlucky to go off early.
Yeah, he was.
I felt he was going to have a good game. He's been on form. But
yeah.
So you tell us what you think the midfield, 4 midfielders at the moment. We're obviously struggling a bit. Back 3 is open.
It is. I think. I mean, you've got Dan Anthony Watson at fullback. I think he's done enough.
Well, I think you have to go with that Crusaders back 3 at the moment. But I think it's still open. I want to see more of Seymour. I thought he was unlucky not to see a lot in the first game. I like him as a player.
Yeah, Liam Williams has got a lot of work to do for me.
Yeah.
I think he was much better against the Crusaders.
So much better.
But he was
so bad
against the Blues.
Okay, yeah. I've put him in because I trust him. I think he's a class act, and he came up against the Crusaders. But let us know what your back 3 would be, because that is kind of what I think. North is pretty much there for me.
I think so. And I think because they will be looking at George North as a real someone to be wary of.
Yeah.
It just allows that extra space for the other 2 to open up. And
he gives so much balance because they can bring him in at first receiver close to the ruck off 10, and it just balances it out so well.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think on the bench, George, we said McGrath's a class act. I think he could easily start. His quality. Carl Sinclair for the impact. Tipperick and Atoje, now that is some awesome impact as well. So that's a great, I mean, for forwards to come on, that's a great bench. Then Sexton, Webb, and a question mark, who's the back 3 cover? Who's the extra back on the bench? I don't know at the moment. I'll put Seymour down question mark. You tell us who you think it is. Who would you have covering there?
I think at the moment I'd have Tommy Seymour. However, if Stuart Hogg does pull up okay, I'd have Hogg on the bench because he would cover on the wing, full back.
He can cover lots of places.
Yeah, exactly.
There's still some wide open gaps there. Okay, so we move on. I'm going to try and get this video out nice and quick. We've got a game on Tuesday. Tell us who you think is in the test squad at the moment. And until next time, enjoy your rugby, guys.